What's up, guys? Welcome back, and it is fantasy football season again, and this is a polarizing topic for a lot of people. A lot of people fall on the side of hating fantasy football, saying that people who play it are not real fans of the sport, and then you get people that say playing it gives them a reason to watch games that they wouldn't normally watch because it gives them incentive. Now, I tend to fall towards the latter. I find it interesting. I love games, I like video games, and I really like sports. So it's kind of the perfect matchup for me, but I do understand why people have criticism about it. But we're going to take a look at one of the most popular fantasy football apps and see what it's like. Now, this is the official fantasy football app by the NFL. There are others like ESPN and CBS that do basically the same thing. I have not tried those, so I can't tell you how they work, but this is the one I chose, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now, if we jump into the home screen here, you'll see you get 5 tabs across the bottom that divide up the app, and each of them have their own sub-tabs within them. So we're going to take a look at each and every one of those right now. Now, under transactions, it's pretty simple. You get a list of all of the transactions throughout your league, who picked up free agent players, who made trades, all that kind of stuff. As you can see, it is ad supported. Not a big deal in my opinion. They don't tend to get in the way very much at all, but I figured I'd mention that. But this is basically just a simple list of all the transactions throughout your league. Now, if we go over to standings, you'll see there's not really much to see here right now because the week is just begun. As I'm recording this, it is Friday. Thursday night football just happened last night, so the season has technically started. So it's a little late to join right now, but if you have joined previously, or if you are watching this in the future, hopefully this will still be useful to you. I know it's a little late, but what can you do? So then if we slide on over to league teams here, you can just see a list of all of the teams in your league, and if you click on one of those, you can get to their roster, their stats, and their overview, where you can see things like their waiver priority, which we'll get to in just a second. Now, you can click on players like this, and you'll see the trade button up at the top, which is how you initiate a trade with another team. You can also scroll over to see stats and videos from that player. So now if we jump on over to players here, you will see there is 3D touch in this app. Now, there's peek and pop for players. This is the only place I've been able to find it. There's no shortcuts from the home screen, anything like that. But it's still very nice that they added this in. I really appreciate anytime they can manage to sneak 3D touch into apps, because there's pretty much no app that it's not useful in. You can see a list of all of the free agent players here. You can see their predicted score. You can filter at the bottom here to show what it shows them in order of and their position, and you can even switch it to show you players that are taken by other teams already. So now if we slide over to waivers here, this is an interesting part of the app that tries to replicate the NFL in a sense. Now you'll see you have a waiver priority where I am 9 of 12. Now at the beginning it's pretty much just a random thing, but as you can see you can set it up. I have it set up to be inverted standings, so basically whoever's last in the league gets the highest waiver priority. Now what that means is the lowest team will have the highest priority as far as free agents are concerned. So if the last place guy tries to pick up a player, no one can take it from him. He or she has the full right to that player. But if you're lower on the list or have a better record, then someone below you could potentially take the player you are trying to pick up. So you gotta pay attention to that. It's kind of a neat feature that just adds some detail to the app. Now if we slide over here to trades, you'll see I have nothing right now because I have no pending trades, but when a trade comes in, you'll get an email and you'll have a button to either accept or decline. Now, something new this year is the ability for other players to vote on that trade. So you can vote to reject trades within your league if you don't feel they are fair. So for instance, if 2 people know each other and they're trying to trade a player off, for instance for a bye week or something, and then give them back, in theory you can try to put a stop to that through this. It's kind of a weird feature, but I guess the idea is there. It makes sense in a way. Now if we go over to team is where it gets interesting here. You'll see you have your stats, overview, and roster. Now you can see your roster, your starting lineup. You'll see you get a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a wide receiver / running back or flex position, and then you get a kicker, a defense, and then you get 6 bench slots. Now at the bottom here you can see there is different colored lights, and those will basically be what this gray bar here is on the side. So if they're in play, it'll be yellow. If they're currently on the field, it'll be green. And if it's final, it'll be white. So as you can see for this one guy up here, Demaryius Thomas, it's white because his game was last night. Now you can also see the amount of points he got. And the gray numbers below that are the projected points for the week. So that kind of gives you an idea of how you should set up your lineup. Now if we click on the bottom here, this will be changing very soon. They have said in the update notes that they're going to be making some changes. This is new for the year, and it's kind of difficult to get used to, as you can see. But basically, you just grab this thing on the bottom here, and you can slide them wherever you want. Now, you can swap them out with other players like them. Obviously, you can't put them... Say you can't put a wide receiver at a running back spot, it won't let you do that, but this is basically how you'll swap people out from your bench, and how you will swap players around, edit your lineup. Pretty simple, but the interface is probably going to change a little bit, so don't get too awfully used to it. Now if we slide on over here to stats, you'll see there's not much to show since only one of my players has played, but it'll basically show their stats at the bottom here, and of course their points like it did on the other screen. Now if we slide over to overview here, this will basically show you your record, your waiver priority, your trades pending, and then your weak opponent. So all fairly useful information just in one simple place. Now I'd like to mention while we're here, I do really appreciate the fact that they use swipe gestures in this app. Everything from switching tabs to backing out of screens like this screen here, you can just swipe to get out. I really love swipe gestures, and I can't thank developers enough when they add them into their apps. Now if we go over here to matchup, you'll see you can get to NFL games here where you can see all of the NFL games in the actual league. You can go to schedule here where you can see all of the games this week, who's playing who, what the projected score is, what the current score is, and you can see all of those here. And then you can get to your own matchup here where you can see your lineup, your competitor's lineup, score, projected score, and your record, of course, your pictures, your name, all that sort of stuff, and you can get to edit your lineup right here if you feel as if you're going to lose. So if we switch over to the last tab here, which is more, you'll basically see you can get to news, which is just fantasy news. You can get to messages where people can send league-wide messages. And then you can get down here to settings. Now this is not going to be very useful if you don't own your league. I happen to, so I can get to things like the league settings here. Now unfortunately you can't really change any of these from in here. That's kind of a flaw with this app. You have to go to their website to do it. But it'll basically show you how it's set up right now, which is kind of useful, I suppose. You can also get to things like research tools, where you can get to all sorts of useful stuff in there. You can get to customer support, and then just some other miscellaneous buttons that are in every app, basically. Now the last thing here is you can basically click on that, and that will get to your profile, where you can set up mock drafts, join a league if you haven't already, and stuff like that. And then there is the search up here, and we can click on search, and you can basically search for players if you want. So for instance, if you want to search for a player, you don't know what team they're on, you can basically do that. Take a little while to load, and you can basically find them really easily and still trade depending on what team they're on if you still want to get them. So that just about covers it. I would give NFL Fantasy Football a 4.5 stars out of 5, and that's basically just because there are some small things that I'd like to see changed, like the edit lineup screen, which they are apparently working on. But overall, it works really well. It's pretty simple to get the hang of, and I feel like most people can understand it if you just put in a little bit of time to it. So, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, as I really appreciate it, and it really helps me out. I post new videos every single Sunday, so I definitely like to see you back next week. But until then,